Imagine standing on the edge of oblivion, your heart pounding like a runaway train, knowing that in one split second you can either shatter your body or soar beyond human limits. Welcome to the world where fear is a fuel, pain a mere bystander, and the impossible becomes your everyday playground. Chapter 1. The way of flow. When you think about achieving greatness, you might picture a genius in a quiet lab or a marathon runner crossing a finish line. But what if I told you that the real magic, the explosive, adrenaline-fueled magic, happens in those split seconds when a person pushes past all known boundaries? In Chapter 1, The Way of Flow, Steven Kotler doesn't just tell you about peak performance. He hurls you headfirst into the raw, unfiltered experience of flow, a state of mind so powerful it defies conventional logic. This isn't your run-of-the-mill self-help fluff. This is about tapping into a supercharged mindset that transforms ordinary mortals into superhumans on the front lines of extreme sports and beyond. The birth of an idea. Right off the bat, Kotler grips you with stories of athletes who risk everything to seize that elusive state of flow. Think about Carrie Strug at the 1996 Olympics, a gymnast who, despite a shattered ankle, mustered the guts to vault for gold. It's not just a tale of determination. It's a visceral demonstration of what happens when the mind and body sync into one unstoppable force. In that moment, pain, fear, and doubt are obliterated by an unyielding focus, a kind of laser-like clarity that makes the impossible possible. Kotler lays the groundwork by explaining that flow isn't merely about feeling in the zone. It's a complete shift in consciousness, a radical alteration in how you experience time, space, and even your own self. When you're in flow, time dilates, distractions vanish, and every second burns with clarity. This isn't just anecdotal, it's a phenomenon backed by neuroscience and psychology. It's as if your brain gets a turbo boost, tapping into hidden reserves of creativity, precision, and strength that most of us don't even know exist. Flow, the ultimate performance enhancer. Now, let's break it down in plain American talk. Flow is like finding the secret sauce that makes everything you do 10 times better. It's the difference between fumbling through a task and executing it with the precision of a championship athlete. In the world of extreme sports, where the stakes are nothing less than life and death, this state is the only thing standing between a spectacular win and a catastrophic failure. Kotler introduces us to a cast of characters who aren't just athletes. They're renegades challenging the very limits of what our bodies and minds can handle. Take Danny Way, for instance. Here's a dude who, despite carrying the scars of past injuries and living with a near-constant awareness of his mortality, manages to launch himself off a colossal ramp, on a broken ankle, no less. His story is more than a tale of physical prowess. It's a testament to the transformative power of flow. When Danny steps up, he isn't just performing a trick. He's tapping into a state of mind where his body seems to defy physics, where pain becomes a background hum and fear is nothing but a whisper. The anatomy of flow. So, what exactly happens when someone enters this extraordinary state? According to Kotler, flow is both a physiological and psychological phenomenon. At its core, it involves a delicate balance between challenge and skill. When the demands of a situation match, or just slightly exceed your abilities, your brain kicks into overdrive. Stress hormones surge, but instead of overwhelming you, they fine-tune your reactions, sharpening your senses and boosting your performance. It's a natural response evolved from our fight-or-flight instincts, repurposed for creative problem-solving and athletic excellence. In this state, the brain releases a cocktail of chemicals, dopamine, norepinephrine, endorphins, that enhance focus and elevate mood. Imagine your brain suddenly feeling like it's been plugged into a limitless power grid. Every neuron fires in concert, clearing away the clutter of extraneous thoughts. In other words, you're not just doing something. You're doing it with an intensity and precision that's almost superhuman. Kotler doesn't shy away from the gritty details. He explains how the body's neurochemistry transforms during flow, comparing it to a finely tuned race car hitting the apex of a curve. The result? A performance that seems almost otherworldly, where every action, every decision, is executed with ruthless efficiency. Flow in action, real-life narratives. Let's get real for a moment. These aren't just abstract concepts or sterile lab findings. They're lived experiences. In this chapter, Kotler paints vivid pictures of athletes teetering on the brink of disaster and then, against all odds, pulling off feats that leave us in awe. Picture this: a skateboarder hurtling down a ramp, a backflip executed with such defiant precision that gravity seems to momentarily lose its grip. Or a big wave surfer riding a monstrous wave, his senses heightened to the point where every moment stretches out into an eternity of focus and clarity. These stories aren't for the faint-hearted. They're raw, adrenaline-soaked snapshots of human potential. They remind us that the most extraordinary moments in life often occur when we're willing to risk it all, when we're willing to let go of our self-imposed limits and dive headfirst into the unknown, not a battle against limitations. In The Way of Flow, Kotler also delves into the paradoxical nature of this state. On the one hand, flow is the gateway to untapped potential, a supercharged state that can propel you to unimaginable heights. On the other hand, it's a fragile condition that requires precise conditions to achieve. Too little challenge, and boredom sets in. Too much, and anxiety overwhelms you. It's a tightrope walk, a constant balancing act between pushing your limits and keeping control. This is where the art of mastering flow comes into play. Athletes, through relentless practice and an almost obsessive commitment to their craft, learn to recognize the subtle cues that signal the onset of flow. They become adept at manipulating their environment and their mindset to maintain this state. It's a skill honed over countless hours of training, a kind of mental gymnastics that goes hand in hand with physical prowess. The USA perspective: grit, guts, and glory. Now, if you're from the US, you know that we've got a thing for big dreams, bold risks, and defying the odds. The American spirit is all about pushing past limitations, whether it's in sports, business, or everyday life. In this chapter, Kotler taps right into that ethos. He tells stories that resonate with the American dream. The dream of overcoming obstacles, of rising from the ashes of failure to achieve something truly remarkable. American athletes, in particular, embody this relentless drive. They aren't content with mediocrity. They're out there, day in and day out, risking it all to achieve greatness. This chapter is a love letter to that unyielding spirit, a call to harness your inner rebel and tap into the power of flow. It's about recognizing that the human body is capable of feats that defy logic, provided you can unlock that hidden reservoir of potential. Beyond the physical, the mind's transformation. While the physical aspects of flow are undeniably impressive, the real magic happens in the mind. Kotler points out that when you're in flow, your self-consciousness evaporates. You stop worrying about the outcome or what others might think. In that moment, there's only the task at hand, and every movement feels perfectly choreographed. It's like your brain has thrown out the rulebook and written its own, custom-tailored instructions for peak performance. This psychological shift is crucial. It's the difference between being a spectator in your own life and being an active, engaged participant. When you embrace flow, you're not just performing, you're fully alive, completely immersed in the experience. And that's where true greatness is born, the dark side and the price of glory. But don't get it twisted, flow isn't all rainbows and butterflies. There's a dark side to this intense state of performance. The same processes that propel you to greatness can also lead you to recklessness. When you're riding the high of flow, your perception of risk can become dangerously distorted. Athletes might push beyond safe limits, fueled by an intoxicating mix of adrenaline and invincibility. In extreme cases, this can lead to catastrophic failures, injuries, or even death. Kotler doesn't shy away from this gritty reality. He reminds us that the razor's edge between brilliance and disaster is thin, and it's a line that extreme athletes walk every single day. Yet, even with the potential for dire consequences, the allure of flow remains irresistible. It's that tantalizing promise of transcending ordinary existence that drives them forward, no matter the cost. Harnessing flow in everyday life. While much of Chapter 1 focuses on extreme sports and high-stakes scenarios, the underlying message is universal. Flow isn't reserved for daredevils or adrenaline junkies. It's a state that anyone can tap into. Whether you're an artist, a scientist, or just someone trying to get through a mundane day at the office, the principles remain the same. It's about finding that perfect balance between challenge and skill, about tuning out the noise and zeroing in on what truly matters. Kotler argues that if we could all learn to harness flow, the implications would be staggering. Imagine a world where people operate at their peak potential every single day, where creativity, productivity, and satisfaction aren't just occasional bursts but a constant state of being. It's a heady thought, one that challenges our very assumptions about human capability, practical lessons, and takeaways. So, what can we learn from all this? First and foremost, achieving flow isn't about luck or mystical fate. It's a skill, one that can be cultivated with practice and perseverance. The key is to set up conditions where your abilities are challenged just enough to keep you engaged, but not so much that you're overwhelmed. It's a delicate balancing act, one that requires self-awareness, discipline, and a willingness to step out of your comfort zone. For anyone striving for excellence, whether in sports, work, or personal endeavors, the concept of flow offers a roadmap to unlocking hidden potential. Kotler's narrative is as much a guide as it is a celebration of human achievement. He challenges us to rethink what we consider possible, to embrace the thrill of uncertainty, and to find joy in the process of pushing our limits, the science behind the sensation. Digging deeper, Kotler explores the neuroscience that underpins flow. He discusses how, when in flow, the brain's prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for self-criticism and overthinking, essentially takes a back seat. This transient hypofrontality is what allows athletes to perform with fluidity and precision, as it strips away the mental chatter that usually bogs us down. In that moment, your brain is firing on all cylinders, every cell primed for action, and nothing can stop you. This isn't just theoretical mumbo-jumbo. Researchers have used cutting-edge imaging techniques to observe these changes in real time, confirming that the flow state is a genuine, measurable phenomenon. It's a state where the brain's chemistry is recalibrated, making you feel invincible even in the face of danger. And while the science is fascinating, the real magic is in how this translates into raw, unadulterated performance, that a call to embrace the uncomfortable. At its core, the way of flow is a call to arms, a rallying cry for anyone tired of playing it safe. Kotler's message is clear. If you want to achieve greatness, you have to be willing to step into the unknown, to embrace discomfort and uncertainty. It's a challenge to our natural instincts for safety and comfort, urging us instead to seek out experiences that push us to our limits. For many of us, this is a hard pill to swallow. We're conditioned to avoid pain and risk at all costs, to cling to the familiar even when it stifles our growth. But as Kotler so vividly illustrates, true transformation only occurs when you're willing to face your fears head-on. It's about learning to thrive in chaos, to find stability amid the storm of uncertainty, and to let your passion for excellence override the voice of caution. A personal revolution. There's a personal revolution at the heart of this chapter. It's not just about extreme sports or achieving record-breaking feats. It's about tapping into the deepest parts of yourself and realizing that you're capable of far more than you ever imagined. Whether you're battling a physical challenge or grappling with the everyday struggles of life, the principles of flow offer a way to break free from mediocrity and seize control of your destiny. Kotler's narrative is infused with the kind of raw, unapologetic energy that defines the American spirit. It's a reminder that in this great land of opportunity, you're never truly limited by your circumstances, only by your willingness to push past them. And in that spirit, the pursuit of flow becomes a metaphor for the American dream itself, a relentless, sometimes brutal quest for self-improvement and ultimate fulfillment. Wrapping it all up, in sum, Chapter 1 of The Rise of Superman isn't just an exploration of a psychological state. It's an invitation to a radical rethinking of what it means to be human. It dares you to look beyond the mundane, embrace the chaos of life, and to discover a hidden reservoir of strength and creativity that lies just beneath the surface. Through gripping narratives, scientific insights, and a no-holds-barred examination of human potential, Kotler lays out a blueprint for transcending the ordinary and stepping into a realm where anything is possible, from the battered yet unyielding spirit of Carrie Strug to the audacious, almost mythical feats of Danny Way. The way of flow captures the essence of what it means to push past your limits. It's a chapter that challenges conventional wisdom, defies the status quo, and ultimately leaves you with one powerful message. If you're willing to risk it all, there's no telling how high you can fly.so. Buckle up and get ready to have your mind blown. Because this isn't just a story about extreme sports. It's a call to ignite your inner fire, to dare the impossible, and to discover that within you lies the power to transform every setback into a stepping stone toward greatness. That's the deep dive summary of Chapter 1, The Way of Flow. It's a wild ride through the mind and body of peak performers, an exploration of how the convergence of intense challenge, focused skill, and raw determination can unlock a state of mind that's nothing short of revolutionary. Every line, every heartbeat in this chapter pulses with the idea that greatness isn't reserved for a chosen few. It's a state accessible to anyone brave enough to step off the beaten path and into the thrilling unknown. Imagine riding a tsunami of raw, unbridled energy. One moment you're clinging to the edge of danger, and the next, you're gliding effortlessly on nature's most formidable force. In the blink of an eye, you're both humbled and exalted, swept up in a surge that redefines the limits of human possibility. This is the essence of the wave of flow. Chapter 2. The wave of flow. When you think of riding a wave, you might picture a surfer carving through a massive swell off the coast of California, his every move in perfect sync with the ocean's pulse. But in Steven Kotler's second chapter, The Wave of Flow, this isn't just about water and adrenaline. It's a metaphor for a transformative state of mind where the forces of nature and human potential collide. This chapter explores how our bodies and minds harness the dynamism of a wave to propel us into realms of performance that seem almost supernatural. Setting the stage, the unstoppable force of a wave. Kotler wastes no time in plunging us into the heart of the action. He reminds us that every moment of peak performance is like catching a wave, a fleeting, unpredictable surge of power that demands absolute focus and an unwavering commitment to the moment. The wave is both a physical phenomenon and a mental state. It's that moment when the world around you blurs, and you become one with the raw energy that courses through your veins. Think of the world's most elite surfers, those who challenge the monstrous swells at Mavericks or the colossal breaks off Pipeline. When they paddle out into the abyss, they're not merely braving nature. They're inviting it to merge with their inner resolve. The wave is unpredictable, much like life itself, and riding it successfully demands a complete surrender to its rhythm. In this chapter, Kotler paints a vivid picture of how the concept of flow evolves from a static state of mind into a kinetic, ever-changing phenomenon, an undulating, unstoppable force that, once harnessed, can carry you beyond your wildest dreams. The anatomy of a wave. Science meets sensation. At the core of the wave of flow is the idea that flow isn't a static, isolated event. It's a dynamic process that ebbs and flows, much like the ocean itself. When you're in this state, your brain is undergoing a radical transformation, a veritable symphony of chemical reactions that propel your performance to levels that defy everyday logic. During flow, your brain releases a potent mix of neurochemicals: dopamine for reward, norepinephrine for focus, endorphins for pain suppression, and serotonin for balance. Together, these create a biochemical cocktail that amplifies your senses and sharpens your reflexes. It's as if the brain, like a surfer waiting for the perfect wave, is primed to seize the moment. In this heightened state, every neuron fires in harmony, each impulse tuned to the rhythm of the surge you're riding. This chapter dives deep into the science behind these phenomena. Kotler explains how, when faced with a challenge that is perfectly balanced with your skills, the brain's prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for self-doubt and overthinking, quietly steps aside. This transient hypofrontality clears the mental clutter and allows you to immerse yourself fully in the experience. The result? A moment where time seems to slow down, every second stretching into eternity as you ride that wave with laser-like precision. Flow's fluid dynamics. Riding the crest, just as no two waves are exactly alike, the experience of flow is uniquely personal. Kotler masterfully illustrates that each time you catch that wave of flow, It's like being given a glimpse into a world where every limitation is shattered. Whether you're a skydiver hurtling through open air, a mountain biker maneuvering down a treacherous trail, or a snowboarder carving through a powdery slope, the moment of flow transforms you into something greater than the sum of your parts. In The Wave of Flow, Kotler shares riveting narratives of athletes who have perfected the art of riding these mental swells. One vivid example is that of a big wave surfer facing a towering, unpredictable wall of water. As the wave builds and curls overhead, the surfer's heart pounds in anticipation. Every muscle, every nerve, is alive with the electric thrill of imminent danger. And then, at the precise moment when the wave crests, he launches into an awe-inspiring ride, a seamless blend of instinct, training, and an almost mystical union with nature's raw power. This isn't just about physical prowess. It's about the ability to adapt on the fly, to sense the shift in the wave's momentum, and to adjust your body's language to match the ocean's unpredictable dance. It's an art, a skill honed over countless hours of trial and error, where every fall and every triumph becomes a stepping stone toward mastering that perfect ride. The emotional undertow, risk, reward, in the heart of the wave, there's an undeniable thrill in riding a wave, not least because it embodies the eternal tug-of-war between risk and reward. The very act of paddling into a massive break is a gamble, a leap of faith where failure can be catastrophic and success, nothing short of legendary. Kotler uses this imagery to explain that the emotional surge of flow is rooted in our primal instincts. When you're in the thick of a challenge, your body releases adrenaline, priming you for action. But it's more than just a rush. It's a state where fear and exhilaration become inextricably intertwined. The intensity of this emotional cocktail is what makes the wave of flow so addictive. It's that razor-thin line between triumph and disaster that keeps you coming back for more. As you push past your comfort zone, you tap into a reservoir of inner strength that transforms risk into a catalyst for growth. Consider the case of a mountain biker navigating a narrow, crumbling cliffside trail. Every turn, every jump, is a high-stakes negotiation with gravity itself. In those heart-stopping moments, the fear that might otherwise paralyze you is replaced by a singular, overwhelming focus. Your mind becomes a finely tuned instrument, and your body follows suit in a dazzling display of agility and precision. It's a dance with danger, where each movement is both a defiance of nature and a surrender to its forces. The ripple effect, how one wave can change everything. Kotler doesn't stop at the individual experience. He delves into the broader implications of riding the wave of flow, illustrating how one moment of peak performance can trigger a cascade of innovation and transformation. In the world of extreme sports, a single, perfectly executed maneuver can redefine an entire discipline. When athletes push beyond what was thought possible, they create a ripple effect that inspires others to raise their own standards. This ripple isn't confined to sports alone. The principles underlying the wave of flow have far-reaching implications in business, art, and everyday life. Imagine a corporate leader who, by embracing the fluid dynamics of flow, turns a mundane meeting into a breeding ground for groundbreaking ideas. Or a musician who, in the throes of creative flow, composes a symphony that touches the hearts of millions. The wave of flow is a universal force, a call to harness our latent potential and ride the crest of innovation. The challenge of catching the wave, timing, intuition, and mastery. Yet, for all its allure, the wave of flow is not easily tamed. Much like the ocean, it is mercurial and unforgiving. Kotler emphasizes that catching this wave requires more than just raw talent. It demands acute awareness, precise timing, and an unwavering trust in one's own instincts. The process is as much about letting go as it is about control. Athletes who master this art describe it as an almost mystical experience. They speak of a moment when everything aligns perfectly, the conditions are just right, their body is primed, and the environment hums with possibility. In that instant, doubts and distractions fade away, replaced by an unshakable conviction that they are one with the moment. It's a delicate equilibrium where the mental, emotional, and physical realms converge to create something extraordinary. This mastery doesn't come overnight. It's the result of relentless practice, of embracing failure as a necessary stepping stone toward success. Every wipeout, every miscalculation teaches a lesson in resilience and adaptation. Over time, the once daunting wave becomes less a force of nature and more a trusted companion, an ally in the pursuit of greatness. The USA perspective, grit, guts, and the relentless pursuit of the perfect ride, there's something inherently American about the quest to master the wave of flow. Our cultural narrative is built on the stories of pioneers who dared to push beyond conventional limits, of risk-takers who turned the impossible into the inevitable. In this chapter, Kotler channels that spirit, drawing parallels between the rugged individualism of extreme athletes and the pioneering ethos that defines the American dream. From the sun-soaked beaches of Southern California to the rugged, wind-swept cliffs of the Pacific Northwest, American athletes have long embraced the challenge of riding nature's wildest swells. Their stories are woven into the very fabric of our culture, tales of daring feats, near misses, and triumphant comebacks that inspire awe and admiration. In The Wave of Flow, Kotler not only celebrates these achievements but also challenges us to internalize the same bold, unyielding spirit in our own lives, a symphony of senses. The multidimensional experience of flow. To truly appreciate the wave of flow, one must understand that it's a multisensory experience. It's not just about what you see or feel. It's about how every sense is heightened and harmonized into one breathtaking moment. As you ride that wave, your vision sharpens, your hearing becomes almost superhuman, and even your sense of touch is electrified by the rush of wind and spray. Kotler's narrative brings this to life through detailed accounts of athletes who describe their experiences as nothing short of transcendental. A surfer, for example, might recount how the roar of the ocean melds with the pounding of his heart, creating a rhythm that guides every twist and turn. In these moments, the boundary between self and environment dissolves. You're no longer a separate entity battling the elements. You are the elements, moving in perfect concert with the natural world. This sensory symphony is what makes the wave of flow so compelling. It's a full-bodied experience that defies the sterile, hypercognitive mode of modern life. Instead of being bogged down by constant distractions and endless to-do lists, you're immersed in a state of pure, unadulterated presence. It's in these moments that creativity flourishes, problems dissolve, and life itself takes on a richer, more vibrant hue. The metaphor of the wave, a blueprint for living boldly beyond the adrenaline and the science. The wave of flow serves as a powerful metaphor for how we can all live more fully. Kotler's insights extend far beyond the realm of extreme sports. He challenges us to see our daily lives as a series of waves waiting to be ridden. Each opportunity, each challenge, is an invitation to step out of our comfort zones and embrace the unknown. Imagine approaching every obstacle not as a looming threat, but as a dynamic surge of potential energy. Whether you're tackling a high-stakes project at work or navigating the complexities of personal relationships, the principles of flow offer a roadmap for channeling your inner power. By finding that sweet spot where your skills match the challenge, you can transform even the most daunting tasks into moments of clarity and accomplishment. Kotler argues that this isn't just wishful thinking. It's a tangible skill that can be cultivated with practice. It requires a shift in mindset, a willingness to let go of the need for control, and an openness to the inherent uncertainty of life. The wave of flow teaches us that true success isn't about rigid planning or meticulous calculation. It's about embracing spontaneity, trusting your instincts, and riding the ups and downs with a fearless heart. Real-life narratives. Heroes on the Crest. No discussion of the wave of flow would be complete without delving into the real-life stories that bring these concepts to life. Kotler interweaves accounts of daring athletes who have not only witnessed the raw power of nature, but have harnessed it to achieve feats that were once deemed impossible. These aren't just anecdotes. They are case studies in the art of riding the wave. One memorable account is that of a surfer who, against all odds, faced a towering, seemingly insurmountable wave. As he paddled out into the chaotic sea, he felt the overwhelming force of the ocean converge with his own determination. In the split second when the wave broke, he surrendered to its momentum, becoming a living embodiment of flow. For those few precious moments, he experienced a state of hyper-awareness, a blend of exhilaration and serenity that defied explanation. His story isn't just about conquering a wave. It's about discovering a new realm of possibility within himself. Similarly, a skydiver recounts how the freefall became a meditation in motion. With the wind roaring past and the earth rushing up, every sense was heightened to an almost surreal degree. In that suspended moment between life and death, he tapped into a reservoir of courage and clarity that redefined his very being. These stories, rich in detail and raw emotion, serve as a testament to the transformative power of flow, a reminder that, when you're riding that perfect wave, you're not just surviving the moment, you're transcending it. Harnessing the wave in everyday life. While the most dramatic examples of flow come from extreme sports, Kotler is quick to point out that the same principles can be applied to everyday challenges. The wave of flow is not the exclusive domain of adrenaline junkies. It's a universal phenomenon that can be accessed by anyone willing to push past their self-imposed limits. Consider the creative professional stuck in a monotonous routine. By reimagining their daily tasks as waves to be ridden, they can transform mundane activities into opportunities for innovation and growth. It's about finding that perfect balance between challenge and skill, where work stops being a chore and instead becomes an exhilarating pursuit. This shift in perspective can lead to breakthroughs in productivity, creativity, and overall well-being, turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. Kotler provides practical strategies for cultivating this state. It starts with mindfulness, the ability to be fully present in each moment. From there, it involves setting up conditions that challenge you just enough without overwhelming you. It's a delicate dance. Too little challenge leads to boredom, while too much results in anxiety. The sweet spot is where flow lives, and once you learn to recognize and harness it, you'll find that the same principles that govern a perfect ride on a massive wave can revolutionize every aspect of your life. The dark underbelly. Navigating the perils of the flow. Of course, as with any great force, there's a darker side to riding the wave of flow. The very intensity that propels you to extraordinary heights can also lead to moments of peril if not managed properly. Kotler is candid about the risks, how the very state that enables groundbreaking performance can also tempt you into recklessness. In the heat of the moment, when you're riding that unstoppable surge, it's easy to become intoxicated by the feeling of invincibility. The mind, freed from its usual constraints, might ignore warning signs and push beyond safe limits. This can lead to catastrophic mistakes, a wipeout here, a miscalculation there, that remind you of the fine line between brilliance and disaster. Yet, it's precisely this balance of risk and reward that fuels the drive to keep coming back for more. Every fall, every setback, is part of the learning curve that ultimately leads to mastery. Kotler urges readers to respect the power of the wave, to approach it with both enthusiasm and caution. It's about learning when to push forward and when to pull back, a nuanced understanding that comes only with experience. The dark underbelly of flow serves as a sobering reminder that while the state can elevate you to unimaginable heights, it demands a level of discipline and self-awareness that cannot be taken lightly. A cultural awakening. The wave's impact beyond the extreme, beyond the individual athlete, lies a broader cultural narrative. The wave of flow has sparked a revolution that transcends sports and seeps into every facet of modern life. In Silicon Valley boardrooms, creative studios, and even in the halls of academia, the principles of flow are being recognized as the key to unlocking human potential. Kotler paints a picture of a world in flux, a world where the same forces that drive a surfer to tame a giant break can be harnessed to drive innovation and progress in seemingly unrelated fields. It's a call to reframe our understanding of success and creativity. Instead of viewing challenges as obstacles to be overcome, we're encouraged to see them as opportunities, a series of waves waiting for us to ride. This cultural awakening is part of a larger shift in how we perceive work, creativity, and even personal fulfillment. The idea that peak performance is not reserved for a select few, but is accessible to everyone, is both revolutionary and empowering. It challenges the status quo and invites us to reimagine our lives as a series of dynamic, ever-changing opportunities for growth and achievement. tapping into your inner wave. Practical takeaways. So, how do you catch your own wave of flow? Kotler's chapter is filled with actionable insights, distilled into a series of practical takeaways that anyone can implement. Here are some key strategies. Set clear, achievable goals. Just as a surfer scans the horizon for the perfect break, you need to define what success looks like for you. Clear goals provide direction and help align your skills with the challenges ahead. Embrace the uncertainty. The unpredictability of the wave is what makes it exhilarating. Learn to welcome uncertainty and use it as a catalyst for creative problem solving. Practice mindfulness. Being fully present is the cornerstone of flow. By training your mind to focus on the now, you can eliminate distractions and tap into a deeper level of awareness. Find your sweet spot. Identify the level of challenge that pushes you just enough without overwhelming you. This balance is crucial for entering and sustaining the state of flow. Learn from failure. Every wipeout on the wave is a lesson. Embrace mistakes as part of the journey, using them to refine your approach and build resilience. Build a routine. Consistent practice creates familiarity with the conditions that trigger flow. Whether you're training for a sport or honing a creative craft, routine helps condition your mind and body to enter this state more reliably. Stay humble. Respect the power of the wave. No matter how skilled you become, always remember that the forces you're riding are far greater than you. Humility is key to continuous improvement and safety. The promise of the wave. A vision for the future. Kotler's exploration of the wave of flow isn't just a retrospective look at what extreme athletes have achieved. It's a visionary blueprint for the future. He challenges us to imagine a world where everyone has learned to harness this state, where creativity, productivity, and fulfillment aren't sporadic bursts but a constant, driving force in our lives. Imagine classrooms where students learn by engaging in immersive, real-world challenges rather than rote memorization. Picture workplaces where innovation flows as naturally as the tide, driven by individuals who have mastered the art of riding their own waves. This isn't a utopian fantasy. It's a call to action, an invitation to reimagine the very fabric of society through the lens of human potential. Conclusion: embracing the wave. Embracing life in the wave of flow. Steven Kotler delivers a powerful message. Life is a series of dynamic, ever-changing moments, and within each one lies the potential for greatness. The wave is a metaphor for the energy that surges within us, a force that, when properly harnessed, can propel us to heights we never thought possible. It's about finding that perfect moment when challenge meets skill, when risk transforms into reward, and when you allow yourself to be swept away by the sheer power of the present. For those ready to embrace the call of the wild, to ride the crest of possibility with grit, guts, and an unyielding spirit, the wave of flow awaits. It's a thrilling, sometimes terrifying, but always transformative journey that promises to change not just how you perform, but how you experience life itself. This deep dive summary of Chapter 2, The Wave of Flow, captures the essence of Kotler's exploration into the dynamic, ever-changing state that propels extreme athletes and anyone willing to push past their limits into realms of peak performance. It's a vivid tapestry woven from science, raw emotion, and real-life stories, all converging on the singular idea that when you learn to ride the wave, you unlock a power that can redefine your entire existence. From the heart-pounding thrill of catching that massive swell to the subtle art of balancing risk and reward, this chapter is both a technical guide and an emotional manifesto. It challenges you to see life not as a series of static moments, but as a rolling, unpredictable ocean of opportunity. Each wave a chance to rise above the ordinary and touch the extraordinary. So, whether you're a seasoned athlete or someone looking to infuse your everyday life with a shot of adrenaline and purpose, the wave of flow invites you to cast off the shackles of mediocrity. Embrace the uncertainty, ride the surge of emotion, and let the relentless energy of the moment propel you forward. The wave is coming. Are you ready to catch it? Picture this. You step into a space so charged, so perfectly aligned with your very being that the moment you cross its threshold, the world transforms. It's as if the ground beneath you shifts into a secret arena, one that catapults you into a state where every nerve ignites, every thought sharpens, and you become one with your surroundings. Welcome to the Wave of Flow, where the very environment is the spark that lights the human spirit on fire. Chapter 3. The Where of Flow. When you think about peak performance, it's easy to zero in on the how and why of our abilities. But Steven Kotler's third chapter, The Where of Flow, takes you on a wild ride into the spaces and places that serve as the catalysts for that mystical state of flow. It's not just about the mind or body. It's about the environment that cradles you when you're pushing past your limits. In this chapter, Kotler reveals that the conditions around you can dramatically shape your ability to enter flow, turning mundane settings into powerhouses of creativity, focus, and raw energy. The geography of genius. Spaces that spark transformation. Kotler wastes no time in painting a picture of environments that aren't just backdrops, but active participants in the flow state. Imagine an abandoned warehouse turned urban skate park, where every rusted beam and graffitied wall becomes a partner in your high-speed dance with gravity. Or consider the remote, windswept cliffs of California's coastline, where the roar of the ocean melds with the pounding of your heart. In these spaces, the ordinary dissolves, replaced by a dynamic interplay of challenge and inspiration. At its core, the Where of Flow is about the geography of genius, the notion that certain places are inherently designed to awaken our deepest capabilities. Kotler explains that these are not accidental havens. They're the natural consequence of factors like lighting, acoustics, spatial layout, and even the ambient energy that radiates from a location. When the setting is just right, it removes the friction between intention and action, opening a pathway for our minds to transcend everyday limitations. The environmental equation. How place shapes performance. Dive deeper, and you'll find that the science behind flow isn't confined solely to our internal neurochemistry. It's intricately connected to our surroundings. Kotler unpacks the idea that the physical context in which we operate can nudge our brains into that coveted state. For instance, the interplay of natural light, open spaces, and subtle sounds has been shown to lower stress hormones while boosting creative juices. It's like nature itself is whispering, "Let go, just be here." Consider the way a surfer feels when paddling out into the open ocean. There's a vast, almost intimidating expanse before him, a place where the horizon blurs with the sky and every wave is a promise of the extraordinary. This is a realm where fear and exhilaration mingle, creating a heady cocktail that primes him for action. Kotler details studies from environmental psychology and neuroscience that illustrate how certain spaces can quiet the mind's incessant chatter, effectively dimming the lights on self-doubt and paving the way for pure, undiluted focus. Mapping the terrain of flow. The role of novelty and challenge. One of the most riveting insights in this chapter is the idea that the best environments for flow are those that constantly challenge our expectations. Routine and familiarity, while comforting, can also be stifling. In contrast, novel spaces, where there's an element of surprise or an unpredictable twist, force our brains to remain alert, adaptive, and ready to seize the moment. Take, for example, the legendary skate parks and urban landscapes that have become synonymous with extreme sports culture. These aren't meticulously designed arenas with sterile perfection. They're gritty, dynamic spaces that offer a mix of obstacles, ramps, gaps, and ledges. Each element presents a fresh challenge, an invitation to improvise and innovate. For the athlete in the midst of a high-stakes trick, every turn and every leap is a negotiation with the environment, a dance where the stage itself is as much a competitor as any rival. Kotler explains that this tension between stability and unpredictability is precisely what fuels flow. When you're in a setting that keeps you on your toes, your brain releases bursts of adrenaline and dopamine, propelling you into a state where every moment is charged with possibility. It's the thrill of not knowing what comes next that makes these environments so magnetic, a siren call for anyone hungry for peak performance. From concrete jungles to natural sanctuaries, a tale of two worlds. The Where of Flow doesn't limit itself to one type of environment. Instead, it juxtaposes the raw energy of urban settings with the tranquil power of nature, showing that both can be fertile grounds for flow under the right conditions. In urban environments, the constant hum of activity, the buzz of traffic, the murmur of voices, the interplay of light and shadow can stimulate the mind, creating an almost cinematic backdrop for creativity and action. Artists, entrepreneurs, and athletes alike have tapped into the vibrancy of cities to fuel their breakthroughs. The unpredictability and diversity of urban life force you to adapt, to think on your feet, and to extract inspiration from every corner. Kotler cites examples of creative professionals who have transformed abandoned buildings into incubators of innovation, using the eclectic energy of the city to spark ideas that break conventional molds. That on the flip side, there's the compelling allure of natural sanctuaries. Think about the serene isolation of a dense forest, the rugged majesty of a mountain ridge, or the endless expanse of the open sea. These places offer something entirely different, a profound sense of calm and a reminder of our place in the larger tapestry of life. In nature, the barriers between self and environment blur. The rustle of leaves, the distant call of a bird, the rhythm of crashing waves. All of these sensory cues work together to quiet the mind and open it up to new possibilities. That Kotler's narrative emphasizes that it's not about choosing one over the other, but understanding that both urban jungles and natural retreats offer unique gateways to flow. The trick is to recognize what type of environment resonates with you at a given moment and to harness that energy to overcome challenges, spark creativity, or simply experience life at its fullest. The historical and cultural context. How environments shape legends throughout history. Great achievers have often spoken of special places that seem to unlock hidden potential. Think of the mythic landscapes of ancient Greece, where philosophers and athletes alike sought out sacred groves and marble temples to commune with the divine. In more recent times, legends of extreme sports are inseparable from the landscapes that birthed them. The towering waves of Mavericks, the treacherous cliffs of Moab, or the urban decay of downtown Los Angeles have all played starring roles in the narratives of those who dared to push the limits of human ability. Kotler weaves these historical and cultural threads together to make a compelling case. Our surroundings do more than just provide a backdrop. They actively participate in the drama of human achievement. In many ways, the environments that nurture flow are the unsung heroes of these stories. They test our mettle, force us to innovate, and in doing so, help sculpt the legends we celebrate. Real-life narratives, when place and purpose collide to bring these concepts to life. Kotler peppers the chapter with vivid anecdotes of athletes and innovators who have harnessed the power of their environments to achieve the seemingly impossible. One memorable tale is that of an elite rock climber who, when faced with a nearly vertical, unyielding cliff face, found that the very contours of the rock were guiding his every move. The rough texture under his fingertips, the crevices that offered just enough grip, each element of the climb was a silent partner in his ascent. In that high-stakes moment, the boundary between climber and cliff dissolved, and he was propelled upward by a force that was as much about his surroundings as it was about his determination. Another story unfolds in the world of high-speed skiing, where athletes hurtle down mountain slopes, carved by nature's unpredictable hand. Here, every twist and turn of the mountain becomes a part of the performance, a constantly shifting stage that demands both respect and mastery. In these environments, the athlete's connection with the terrain isn't just physical, it's almost spiritual. The mountain, with its icy ridges and sun-dappled slopes, seems to communicate with them, challenging them to adapt, overcome, and ultimately transcend. These stories serve as powerful reminders that the right environment doesn't merely support peak performance, it actively creates it. When you're in a place that speaks to your deepest instincts, that aligns with your inner rhythm, you're more likely to break free of conventional limits and tap into a wellspring of potential you never knew you had. The architecture of flow, designing spaces for peak performance. One of the most exciting implications of Kotler's insights is the idea that we can deliberately craft environments to encourage flow. Imagine offices designed not with sterile cubicles, but with open, flexible spaces that invite collaboration and creativity. Picture classrooms where natural light, nature-inspired colors, and adaptable layouts replace the rigidity of traditional design. When you design a space with the intention of fostering flow, you're not just building a room, you're constructing an incubator for innovation, productivity, and profound personal growth. Kotler outlines several key elements that can help design such spaces. First, there's the importance of flexibility. a space that can be reconfigured to suit different needs, from intense concentration to collaborative brainstorming, allows its inhabitants to tailor their environment to their mood and task at hand. Then there's the use of natural elements, wood, stone, water features that remind us of our innate connection to the earth. Finally, the role of sensory inputs, subtle lighting, ambient sounds, and even carefully chosen scents can all work in tandem to create a setting that calms the mind and sharpens focus. These ideas are not merely theoretical. Forward-thinking companies and institutions around the world are already reimagining their environments in light of these insights. Silicon Valley startups, renowned for their innovative office designs, are increasingly incorporating elements of nature and flexibility to nurture the creative flow of their teams. The result? Workspaces that don't just facilitate productivity but actively inspire breakthrough ideas and transformative performance. The personal journey. Finding your own flow environment. While the grand narratives of engineered spaces and legendary locales are awe-inspiring, Kotler's message is ultimately personal. The ideal flow environment is unique to each individual. What works for one person may not work for another, and discovering the settings that best ignite your inner fire is a journey of self-exploration. For some, it might be the controlled chaos of a bustling cafe, where the murmur of conversations and the clatter of dishes create a symphony of distraction that paradoxically sharpens focus. For others, it might be the solitude of a quiet study, where the only sound is the gentle hum of nature outside the window. The key is to experiment, to be curious about how different spaces affect your mood, creativity, and performance. By paying attention to these subtle cues, you can begin to map out the environments that help you break free of your mental constraints and unlock your full potential. Kotler encourages us to treat our surroundings as a partner in our quest for excellence. By observing how different settings influence your thoughts and actions, you can start to craft a personal flow map that guides you toward places, whether physical or virtual, that fuel your creativity, focus, and passion. It's a process of continuous refinement, a journey of trial and error that ultimately leads to a deeper understanding of yourself and the conditions under which you thrive. The neurobiology of place. How our brains respond to environment. Digging into the science behind it, Kotler explains that our brains are remarkably sensitive to environmental cues. The sensory inputs we receive, from the color of a room to the texture of a surface, can trigger profound changes in our mental state. Neuroimaging studies have shown that certain settings can activate the brain's reward centers, increase the production of mood-enhancing neurotransmitters, and even enhance cognitive flexibility. For instance, exposure to natural environments has been linked to a reduction in stress hormones and an improvement in overall well-being. The gentle, irregular patterns of nature, the rustling of leaves, the undulating curves of a landscape can have a calming effect on the brain, fostering a sense of ease and opening the door to creative insights. In contrast, overly sterile or chaotic environments can stifle creativity and elevate anxiety, making it difficult to enter that coveted state of flow. Kotler's exploration of the neurobiology of place underscores a simple yet profound truth: where you are matters. The physical space around you isn't just a container for your experiences, it actively shapes the way you think, feel, and perform. And by understanding these processes, you can take control of your environment to create conditions that naturally usher you into a state of peak performance. The intersection of culture and environment. A global perspective. While much of Kotler's narrative is steeped in the adrenaline-fueled world of extreme sports, the wear of flow also carries a broader cultural resonance. Around the globe, different cultures have developed unique relationships with their environments, relationships that shape how individuals experience and harness flow. In Japan, for example, the philosophy of wabi-sabi, finding beauty in imperfection and transience, can be seen in everything from architecture to garden design. This cultural approach creates spaces that, while understated, are profoundly effective in calming the mind and inviting introspection. Similarly, indigenous cultures around the world have long understood the importance of harmony between people and place. Their sacred sites, imbued with history and spiritual significance, serve as powerful reminders of the transformative power of nature. Kotler suggests that modern society can learn a great deal from these traditions. By integrating principles of respect, balance, and mindfulness into our built environments, we can create spaces that not only support productivity but also nurture the human spirit. Practical strategies for cultivating a flow-friendly environment. So, how do you go about creating or finding the space that unlocks your flow? Kotler lays out a number of actionable strategies that draw from both cutting-edge science and time-honored wisdom. Curate your surroundings. Take a hard look at the spaces where you spend the most time. Are they cluttered or calm? Overstimulating or drab? Start small, rearrange your desk, add a plant, adjust the lighting. Little tweaks can have a big impact on your mood and focus. Embrace nature. Whenever possible, incorporate natural elements into your workspace. This might mean setting up near a window with a view, using natural materials in your decor, or even spending time outdoors during breaks. Nature has a way of resetting the mind and clearing away the mental fog. Experiment with soundscapes. The auditory environment plays a huge role in how you experience flow. Whether it's the ambient hum of a cafe, the soothing sounds of nature, or carefully curated instrumental music, experiment with different soundscapes to find what best complements your creative and physical endeavors. Flexibility is key. Design or choose spaces that are adaptable. The same room might serve as your creative studio one day and your sanctuary of concentration the next. Flexibility in layout and function encourages your brain to stay agile and open to new possibilities. Personalize your space. Finally, remember that the ultimate flow environment is uniquely yours. What inspires one person might distract another. Surround yourself with objects, images, and tools that resonate with your personal vision of excellence. The ripple effect. How flow-enabling environments transform lives. Kotler doesn't just stop at the individual benefits of a flow-friendly environment. He also explores the broader ripple effect these spaces can have on communities and society at large. When organizations, be they schools, corporations, or creative collectives, invest in environments designed to foster flow, the benefits can be staggering. Increased creativity, higher productivity, and enhanced well-being are just the tip of the iceberg. The cumulative impact of millions of people working, learning, and playing in such spaces has the power to reshape our cultural landscape. Imagine a city where every public space, every workplace, is designed to ignite that spark of flow. Not only would the quality of life improve dramatically, but innovation would surge. Problems that once seemed insurmountable would be tackled with fresh eyes and bold solutions. In this way, the principles outlined in The Where of Flow have implications that extend far beyond personal achievement. They have the potential to catalyze a societal transformation. A call to action. Transform your environment. Transform your life. In closing, Kotler's third chapter is both a revelation and a rallying cry. It's a reminder that you hold the keys to your own transformation. Often, that transformation begins with where you choose to be. The spaces around you are not passive backdrops. They are active participants in your journey to greatness. Whether you're an extreme athlete pushing the limits on a rugged cliff or a creative professional striving for that next big breakthrough, the right environment can be the catalyst that propels you into the extraordinary. Kotler challenges us to see our everyday surroundings not as static, unchangeable entities, but as malleable, dynamic landscapes ripe for reinvention. By actively curating the places where we live, work, and play, we can create conditions that nurture our potential and elevate our performance to unprecedented levels. It's about reclaiming control over the very space that shapes our thoughts and actions, and, in doing so, rewriting the narrative of our lives. Embracing the journey. Your map to the ultimate flow space, the journey to discover your perfect flow environment, is deeply personal. It requires experimentation, mindfulness, and a willingness to step outside of your comfort zone. As you embark on this quest, take time to observe how different spaces affect your mood, creativity, and energy. Keep a journal, experiment with rearranging your surroundings, and don't be afraid to try something radically different. Even if it seems a bit out there at first, every step you take is a lesson. Every change, a chance to learn more about what truly sets your soul on fire. And as you gather these insights, you'll begin to see a pattern, a blueprint for creating a space where you can consistently tap into that rare and transformative state of flow. It's a journey of self-discovery that not only enhances your performance, but enriches your overall experience of life. Conclusion. The power of place in unleashing human potential, the Where of Flow, is a powerful reminder that greatness is not just a product of individual talent or hard work. It's also a product of the environment that cradles us in our moments of challenge and triumph. By understanding and harnessing the power of place, you can unlock hidden reservoirs of creativity, focus, and energy. This chapter invites you to take a long, hard look at the spaces you inhabit and to see them as fertile ground for transformation. From the raw energy of urban landscapes to the soothing embrace of natural retreats, every environment holds the potential to elevate you to new heights. Kotler's insights are both practical and profound, urging you to reclaim your surroundings and turn them into your personal launchpad for greatness. The message is clear. When you master the art of designing and choosing the right environment, you're not just setting the stage for peak performance. You're creating a legacy of innovation, resilience, and boundless potential. So, step into the space that calls to you. Adjust your surroundings until they resonate with your inner rhythm, and prepare to experience a state of flow that will change everything. The power of place is in your hands. Go ahead, unleash it. Imagine a moment when your senses lock into a singular focus, where every blink, every heartbeat, every breath becomes a high-octane symphony of pure, unadulterated performance. Picture yourself so immersed that the world fades away, leaving only a raw, unfiltered experience of being, where the impossible is not only possible, but inevitable. Welcome to the What of Flow. Chapter 4, The What of Flow. When we talk about flow, we're not just referring to a fleeting feeling of happiness or productivity. In Chapter 4, The What of Flow, Steven Kotler strips down the phenomenon to its very core, dissecting what flow actually is, from its underlying neurobiology to its tangible effects on performance. This chapter digs into the nuts and bolts of the flow state, transforming abstract concepts into a vivid, visceral understanding of what it means to truly be in the zone. Defining flow, beyond the buzzwords, at its essence, flow is a state of optimal experience, a moment when challenge and skill reach a perfect equilibrium. Kotler argues that flow isn't some mystical force reserved for a chosen few. It's a measurable, repeatable state that can be induced in anyone under the right conditions. In flow, your brain operates at peak efficiency, enabling you to transcend normal limits. It's not about luck or random bursts of genius. It's about tapping into a state where the ordinary dissolves, and every action is executed with razor-sharp precision. In everyday language, think of flow as the moment when you're so immersed in an activity that time seems to distort. Hours pass like minutes, distractions vanish, and your performance skyrockets. This isn't just theoretical fluff. It's a state backed by decades of neuroscience, psychology, and real-world testing on the front lines of extreme sports. It's the secret sauce behind record-breaking performances and revolutionary breakthroughs in creativity and innovation. The neurochemistry of flow, a perfect storm to truly understand the what of flow. We need to dive into the biochemical cocktail that fuels it. When you're in flow, your brain unleashes a potent mix of neurochemicals: dopamine, norepinephrine, endorphins, and an occasional splash of serotonin. This cocktail does more than just make you feel good. It actually reconfigures your brain's operating system. Dopamine, the reward molecule, lights up the brain's pleasure centers, reinforcing your actions and driving you to push harder. Norepinephrine sharpens your focus, dialing up your alertness and reaction time to superhuman levels. Endorphins act as natural painkillers, dulling the sensation of discomfort and fatigue. Together, these chemicals create an environment where your mind and body work in near-perfect harmony. Kotler explains that during flow, there's a temporary dimming of the prefrontal cortex, a phenomenon known as transient hypofrontality. This downregulation of the brain's self-critical center allows you to shed doubts and second-guessing, letting your actions become fluid and instinctive. In this state, your mind is freed from the shackles of overthinking, and your performance reaches an almost automatic, rhythmic quality. It's as if your brain has been tuned to a secret frequency where everything aligns, every move feels right, and nothing can distract you from the task at hand. The experience of flow, a sensory overload of precision. So, what does flow feel like? Imagine that rush you get when you're completely absorbed in a task, a state where every sense is heightened and every thought crystallizes into focused intent. In flow, your vision becomes laser-sharp, your hearing acutely attuned to every nuance, and your body responds as if it were programmed for the moment. Kotler uses vivid anecdotes from extreme athletes to illustrate this point. Picture a base jumper free falling through the sky, every millisecond stretched out like a detailed, cinematic sequence. In that moment, the noise of the wind and the pounding of your heart become part of an intricate rhythm that guides your descent. Or consider a snowboarder carving down an icy slope, where every twist and turn is executed with a blend of instinct and deliberate control, as if the board and the rider are one. That these experiences aren't just physical. They're deeply emotional and almost spiritual. Flow transforms a simple act into an art form, where the boundaries between the self and the environment blur. You become fully present, utterly absorbed in the moment, and every action resonates with purpose. This is the core of what flow is, a state of being where the external world falls away, leaving you with nothing but a pure, unadulterated focus on the now. Measuring the immeasurable. Metrics of flow. One of the most fascinating aspects of the what of flow is Kotler's effort to quantify something that once seemed entirely subjective. Researchers have long been intrigued by the possibility of measuring flow. By using sophisticated tools like brain imaging and physiological monitoring, scientists have begun to map the signature of flow in the human body. Metrics such as heart rate variability, skin conductance, and even specific patterns of brain activity provide tangible evidence of this state. These measurements confirm what extreme athletes have known intuitively for years, that when you're in flow, your body operates differently. There's a fine-tuned coordination between mind and muscle, a sort of internal metronome that keeps everything in perfect sync. Kotler delves into the cutting-edge research that reveals how flow is not just a fleeting psychological state, but a measurable, repeatable condition. This is where art meets science, where the raw experiences of high-octane athletes are validated by empirical data. It's a reminder that what once seemed like the domain of mystics and poets is now squarely within the realm of neuroscience, a powerful convergence of theory and practice. The role of challenge and skill. The perfect balance at the heart of flow is the delicate balance between challenge and skill. Too little challenge, and boredom sets in. Too much, and anxiety takes over. The sweet spot is where your abilities are perfectly matched with the task's demands. This balance is not static. It's a dynamic interplay that shifts as you grow and evolve. Kotler illustrates this with compelling examples. Consider an elite rock climber scaling a sheer cliff face. The climb is grueling and fraught with risk, but it's also exactly the right level of challenge to push the climber's skills to their limit. In that precarious balance, every move is executed with precision, and the climber enters a state of flow. The risk is real, but so is the exhilaration, the surge of confidence that comes from knowing you're pushing beyond what you thought possible. This principle applies not just to extreme sports, but to everyday life. Whether you're tackling a challenging project at work or learning a new musical instrument, finding that balance between challenge and skill is key to unlocking flow. It's a call to continuously stretch yourself, to seek out tasks that push your limits without overwhelming you, and to embrace the inevitable learning curve that comes with growth. The transformation of consciousness. Flow as a catalyst for change. One of the most profound insights in Chapter 4 is the idea that flow transforms your very consciousness. When you're in the zone, the usual boundaries of your identity begin to blur. You're not just performing a task, you're transcending it. The sense of self recedes, and you become one with the activity, whether that's flying through the air on a snowboard or composing a piece of music. This transformative quality of flow is what makes it so appealing and so dangerous. In the midst of flow, you're capable of feats that defy conventional expectations. Your creativity surges, your problem-solving becomes almost instantaneous, and you operate at a level that seems almost superhuman. Kotler's narrative is filled with tales of individuals who have experienced these shifts. Athletes who, in the throes of flow, have broken records, reinvented their sports, and redefined what's possible. But this transformation isn't limited to the physical. Flow has a profound impact on your mental state as well. It alters your perception of time, diminishes the constant chatter of your inner critic, and replaces self-doubt with an unshakable confidence. It's as if flow unlocks a hidden reservoir of potential within you, one that has been dormant, waiting for the right moment to burst forth. The double-edged sword. The perils of overindulgence. While flow is undoubtedly a powerful tool for achieving peak performance, Kotler also warns of its potential pitfalls. The very state that can elevate you to extraordinary heights can, if mismanaged, lead to recklessness. When you're in flow, the usual checks and balances of your rational mind are dialed down. This can be both a blessing and a curse. Extreme athletes, in their quest for that transcendent moment, sometimes push themselves beyond safe limits. The same surge of adrenaline that fuels awe-inspiring performances can also make you underestimate risks, leading to catastrophic mistakes. Kotler recounts harrowing stories of athletes who, caught in the grip of flow, took risks that bordered on self-destruction. These cautionary tales serve as a reminder that while flow can be a gateway to excellence, it requires discipline, self-awareness, and a deep respect for one's physical and mental boundaries. Flow beyond sports. The universal reach of optimal performance, although much of the narrative in The What of Flow revolves around extreme sports, its principles extend far beyond the adrenaline-pumping world of athletes. The state of flow is a universal phenomenon that touches every aspect of life, from creative endeavors and scientific research to business innovation and even everyday tasks. When you're fully immersed in an activity, whether it's writing a novel, solving a complex problem, or even cooking a gourmet meal, you're tapping into that same wellspring of potential. Kotler makes a compelling case for why the pursuit of flow should be a lifelong endeavor. He challenges us to rethink our relationship with work, leisure, and creativity. Imagine a world where every professional, every artist, every entrepreneur consistently operates in a state of flow, a world where innovation, productivity, and satisfaction are the norm rather than the exception. It's a vision that isn't confined to the realm of extreme sports, but has profound implications for every facet of human endeavor. The American spirit, grit, determination, and the pursuit of the extraordinary. There's a distinctly American flavor to the narrative of flow, a celebration of the rugged individualism and relentless drive that defines the USA. Kotler's exploration of the what of flow resonates with the cultural ethos of taking risks, pushing boundaries, and defying expectations. Whether it's the story of a skateboarder launching off a colossal ramp or a tech entrepreneur reinventing an industry, the underlying message is the same. Greatness is achieved by those who dare to step into the unknown, in a country built on the promise of reinvention and resilience. Flow represents the ultimate expression of that spirit. It's the embodiment of the idea that every setback can be transformed into an opportunity, that every failure is just another step toward success. This message is particularly powerful in the American context, where the pursuit of the extraordinary is not only admired but expected. It's a call to harness your inner fire, to push past the limits of what you thought was possible, and to redefine your own boundaries. The practical blueprint. How to harness the what of flow. Kotler doesn't leave you hanging with lofty ideas alone. He provides a roadmap for how to access and harness the power of flow in your own life. Here are some practical strategies drawn from the science and stories shared in this chapter. Challenge yourself continuously. Seek out activities that push your abilities to their limits. Whether it's a new sport, a creative project, or a professional challenge, ensure that you're engaging in tasks that stretch your skills. Cultivate focus through mindfulness. Practice techniques that help you quiet the mind and sharpen your focus. Meditation, deep breathing exercises, or simply taking a break from digital distractions can pave the way for a smoother entry into flow. Embrace failure as feedback. Recognize that every misstep is an opportunity to learn. Instead of fearing failure, view it as a critical part of the journey toward mastery. Adjust, recalibrate, and dive back in with renewed vigor. Optimize your environment. As explored in the previous chapter, your surroundings have a huge impact on your ability to enter flow. Design your workspace or creative zone to minimize distractions and maximize inspiration. Build a routine that triggers flow. Establish rituals or routines that signal to your brain that it's time to get into the zone. Whether it's a specific warm-up exercise or a particular playlist, consistency can be the key to unlocking that state more reliably. Balance rest and intensity. While pushing your limits is essential, it's equally important to give your mind and body time to recover. Balance intense periods of activity with moments of rest to prevent burnout and sustain long-term performance. The evolution of flow, from momentary magic to a way of life. One of the most transformative ideas in The What of Flow is that flow doesn't have to be an isolated, transient experience. With the right mindset and practices, it can become a way of life, a continuous state of engagement and fulfillment. Kotler envisions a future where individuals learn to dial into flow at will, transforming everyday activities into opportunities for peak performance and joy. Imagine waking up every morning with a clear sense of purpose, your mind primed to tackle the day's challenges with unwavering focus. Picture a workplace where every task, no matter how routine, is infused with a sense of excitement and innovation. This isn't some far-fetched dream. It's a realistic possibility when you begin to harness the power of flow on a daily basis. Flow as a catalyst for innovation, rewriting the rules of success. The implications of understanding and leveraging the what of flow extend far beyond personal achievement. They have the power to revolutionize entire industries. When individuals consistently operate in a state of flow, creativity blossoms, problem-solving becomes instantaneous, and collaboration reaches new heights. Kotler's narrative is filled with examples of how breakthroughs in science, technology, and the arts have often been preceded by moments of intense flow. In Silicon Valley, for example, it's not uncommon for teams to experience what can only be described as a collective flow state, where ideas flow freely, obstacles vanish, and innovation takes center stage. This isn't just a feel-good concept. It's a proven formula for success. The companies that understand and cultivate flow are the ones leading the charge into the future, breaking down barriers and creating solutions that once seemed impossible. The legacy of flow, a new frontier in human potential at its core, the what of flow, is a celebration of human potential, a manifesto that challenges us to redefine what we believe is possible. It's a tribute to the relentless pursuit of excellence, a call to harness every ounce of our mental and physical power, and a reminder that within each of us lies the capacity to achieve greatness. The chapter closes with a powerful message that flow is not just a state of mind, but a way to unlock the hidden reservoirs of potential that define who we are. Wrapping up, the essence of flow unveiled in wrapping up this deep dive into the what of flow. Kotler leaves us with an enduring truth. Flow is the bridge between the mundane and the extraordinary. It is a state where the limits of human performance are not fixed but fluid, a dynamic interplay of challenge, skill, emotion, and environment. When you understand what flow truly is, you gain the keys to unlocking a level of performance that can change not just your life, but the very fabric of society. For every athlete, artist, entrepreneur, and everyday hero, embracing the what of flow means stepping into a realm where creativity, focus, and sheer willpower combine to defy the ordinary. It's about recognizing that the state of flow is available to all who are willing to pursue it relentlessly, to train their minds and bodies to transcend fear, and to transform every challenge into an opportunity for greatness. What if you could hack your brain like a high-performance computer, skipping the endless build-up and diving straight into that electrifying zone where every second feels supercharged, every move flawless? Welcome to the Flow Shortcut, where the secrets of peak performance aren't earned by grinding hours on end, but by tapping into rapid-fire techniques that launch you straight into the flow state. Chapter 5, The Flow Shortcut. When you think about flow, you might picture those intense, hard-won moments when athletes push their bodies to the limit and the world seems to pause around them. But in Chapter 5, The Flow Shortcut, Steven Kotler reveals that achieving this legendary state isn't always about spending countless hours in grueling training sessions. Instead, it's about learning to trigger that state almost on command, using psychological tricks, environmental cues, and finely honed routines that bypass the long road to flow and give you instant access to your peak potential, the promise of the shortcut. Bypassing the ordinary. Imagine having a secret key that unlocks an almost superhuman mode of operation, the ability to instantly switch from mundane to extraordinary, from distracted to laser-focused. That's what the flow shortcut is all about. Rather than waiting for the perfect storm of challenge and skill to align, you can train your mind and body to jumpstart the flow process with well-rehearsed rituals and triggers. For extreme athletes, this isn't science fiction, it's a vital survival tool. When every millisecond counts, having a shortcut to the flow state means the difference between a spectacular win and a catastrophic wipeout. Kotler sets the stage by underscoring that the flow state is not some mystical accident that happens only to the naturally gifted. It's a physiological, measurable condition, a state your brain can be trained to enter through deliberate practice and environmental design. This chapter is a masterclass in demystifying flow, breaking it down into actionable steps that you can apply whether you're on a skateboard ramp, in the middle of a business pitch, or simply trying to get a creative project off the ground. The science behind the shortcut. Neurochemical catalysts. At the heart of the flow shortcut lies an intricate dance of neurochemistry. When you're in flow, your brain releases a cocktail of chemicals, dopamine, norepinephrine, endorphins, and serotonin, that collectively elevate your performance to near superhuman levels. Dopamine drives your sense of reward and motivation, norepinephrine hones your focus, endorphins blunt the pain, and serotonin helps maintain overall balance. This potent mix creates an environment where your neural circuits fire in sync, shutting out distractions and allowing you to operate at peak efficiency. One key concept Kotler discusses is transient hypofrontality, a temporary downregulation of the brain's prefrontal cortex that occurs during flow. This phenomenon quiets that internal critic, the part of your mind that constantly doubts and overthinks, letting your actions become instinctual and fluid. The flow shortcut leverages these natural neurobiological mechanisms by using quick rituals and cues to flip the switch on your brain's reward system. With repeated practice, you can condition your body to react to specific triggers, whether it's a particular breathing technique, a visual cue, or even a certain playlist, by immediately transitioning into a flow state. Psychological triggers. Rituals and routines. So, how do you learn to hack your own mind and access flow on demand? Kotler highlights the importance of psychological rituals, the kind of deliberate routines that elite performers swear by. These rituals act as mental primers, setting your internal clock to the rhythm of peak performance. Think of them as the pre-game rituals of a championship athlete, a specific warm-up, a series of deep breaths, a few moments of visualization. Over time, these habits become ingrained, conditioning your brain to understand that it's time to flow. For example, many extreme athletes have a set sequence of movements or mental cues they perform before a high-risk maneuver. This could be as simple as a specific stretch, a moment of silent focus, or even a short burst of adrenaline-inducing music. By consistently pairing these actions with the onset of flow, your brain starts to associate the ritual with that euphoric, hyper-focused state. Eventually, even a brief exposure to the trigger can launch you into flow, bypassing the usual build-up period. It's a shortcut that's honed by repetition and refined over countless hours of practice. Environmental and contextual cues, setting the stage for instant flow. But it's not just about what happens inside your head. The environment plays a massive role, too. The flow shortcut extends to designing your surroundings in such a way that they prime you for peak performance. Kotler explains that the layout, lighting, sound, and even the temperature of your space can serve as powerful cues to help you transition into flow. A workspace designed with natural elements, minimal clutter, and controlled ambient noise isn't just aesthetically pleasing. It's scientifically engineered to lower stress and promote concentration. Consider the difference between a chaotic, noisy room and a calm, well-organized environment. The latter naturally fosters a state of mindfulness and focus, making it easier for you to slip into flow mode. This is why some of the most innovative companies and creative studios invest so much in designing their offices, not only to boost productivity but also to help employees access that state of heightened awareness. In essence, the flow shortcut is about aligning every element of your surroundings with your internal drive, so that when you sit down to work, the very space around you is a catalyst for excellence. Real-life examples. Athletes who master the shortcut. Kotler's narrative is rich with stories of athletes who have mastered the art of the flow shortcut. Imagine a skateboarder, poised at the top of a massive ramp, who takes just a few deep breaths, performs a quick mental rundown of his routine, and then launches into a gravity-defying trick that seems to defy physics. In that split second, every distraction fades, and he becomes one with his board, the ramp, and the roaring crowd below. This isn't just talent, it's a learned ability to trigger flow on demand. Similarly, big-wave surfers use the same principle. When they paddle out into monstrous swells, they often rely on pre-established routines, focused stares into the horizon, rhythmic strokes, and even a specific body posture that signal to their brains that it's time to tap into their inner reserves of courage and precision. These athletes have spent years fine-tuning their triggers so that even in the most chaotic conditions, they can quickly find their center and ride the wave with a seamless blend of intuition and skill. The shortcut in everyday life. Beyond extreme sports. While extreme athletes provide the most dramatic examples, the flow shortcut isn't exclusive to high adrenaline pursuits. Kotler argues that anyone can learn to harness these principles in everyday activities. Whether you're an entrepreneur facing a high-stakes presentation, a writer staring at a blank page, or even a student preparing for an exam, you can train your brain to bypass the usual ramp-up time and jump directly into a state of deep focus. For instance, consider the power of a well-timed coffee break combined with a brief session of mindfulness meditation. Over time, these practices can condition your brain to shift gears rapidly, clearing away mental clutter and priming you for intense concentration. It's about creating personal shortcuts that help you override the natural tendency toward procrastination and distraction. With consistent practice, you'll start to notice that those moments of hyperproductivity become less of a rare burst and more of a steady, reliable state of being. Tools and techniques. How to develop your own flow shortcut. What are the concrete steps you can take to develop your own flow shortcut? Kotler offers a toolkit of strategies, backed by science and proven in the field. Establish consistent rituals. Design a pre-performance routine that might include specific stretches, deep breathing, or visualization exercises. Consistency is key. Over time, these rituals become cues that trigger your flow state almost automatically. Optimize your environment. Tailor your workspace or training area to minimize distractions. Incorporate natural elements. Adjust lighting to reduce strain and create a soundscape that enhances focus. Every detail counts in priming your brain for flow. Use music and soundscapes. Find music or ambient sounds that boost your energy and concentration. Many performers rely on carefully curated playlists that not only pump up the adrenaline, but also signal to the brain that it's time to lock in. Practice mindfulness and meditation. Regular mindfulness exercises help build the neural pathways that facilitate rapid transitions into flow. Even just a few minutes a day can train your brain to better manage distractions and focus intently on the task at hand. Set clear, challenging goals. The balance between challenge and skill is crucial for flow. By setting goals that push your limits just enough without overwhelming you, you create the perfect conditions for your flow shortcut to kick in. Reflect and iterate. After each performance or work session, take time to reflect on what triggered your flow and what might have disrupted it. Continuous refinement of your routines and environment will help you perfect your shortcut over time. The pitfalls. When the shortcut becomes a double-edged sword, of course, as with any powerful tool, there are risks involved. The flow shortcut can become a double-edged sword if overused or applied inappropriately. Kotler warns that while it's incredibly beneficial to be able to jump into flow quickly, it's equally important to avoid burnout and over-reliance on shortcuts at the expense of genuine skill development. There's a fine line between using a shortcut as a catalyst for peak performance and allowing it to become a crutch that stifles natural growth. For example, if you're constantly forcing yourself into a flow state without proper rest or reflection, you risk exhausting your mental and physical resources. Moreover, there's a danger of complacency. If you rely too heavily on shortcuts, you might neglect the hard work and discipline that originally built your capabilities. The key, then, is to use the flow shortcut as a complement to, rather than a replacement for, long-term skill development and self-care. The future of flow, innovation, and the shortcut paradigm. Looking ahead, Kotler envisions a world where the principles of the flow shortcut are integrated into everything from athletic training to corporate culture. Imagine schools and workplaces designed around the science of flow, where environments, rituals, and technologies are all optimized to help people access their peak states with minimal delay. In such a world, innovation would surge as more individuals learn to bypass the habitual clutter of modern life and tap directly into their creative, problem-solving cores. Emerging technologies like neurofeedback devices and wearable sensors are already beginning to make this vision a reality. These tools can provide real-time data on your physiological state, alerting you when you're on the verge of flow or, conversely, when distractions are creeping in. In the future, personalized training programs might even use this data to help you fine-tune your personal flow triggers, creating a bespoke roadmap for peak performance that's as unique as you are. Stories of transformation. The human side of the shortcut. Kotler doesn't just present theories and techniques. He shares transformative stories of individuals who have revolutionized their performance by mastering the flow shortcut. Picture an entrepreneur on the brink of a breakthrough, who manages to silence the noise of self-doubt and focus with laser precision during a critical pitch. Or a musician who, by embracing a carefully crafted ritual, finds that inspiration flows effortlessly, transforming a blank canvas into a masterpiece in moments. These stories serve as a powerful reminder that the flow shortcut isn't just a neat concept from a science book. It's a practical, life-changing tool that can elevate every aspect of your existence. Whether you're an extreme athlete defying gravity or a creative professional crafting a new vision, the ability to harness flow on demand opens up a realm of possibilities previously reserved for legends. The cultural context, an American blueprint for unleashing potential. There's an undeniably American spirit embedded in the quest for the flow shortcut, a drive to break boundaries, challenge the status quo, and seize every opportunity for reinvention. In the United States, where innovation and risk-taking are woven into the national fabric, the idea of hacking your own mind to reach peak performance resonates deeply. It's a call to arms for anyone who's ever felt that there's more to life than the mundane. A promise that with the right tools, you can transform obstacles into opportunities and mediocrity into mastery. Kotler's narrative in The Flow Shortcut captures this ethos perfectly. It's not just about reaching the top. It's about finding the efficient path to get there, using every trick in the book to unlock your potential without having to endure endless cycles of trial and error. This is the kind of innovation that has fueled America's most groundbreaking achievements, and it's a blueprint that can be applied to any field, from sports to business to the arts. Bringing it all together, a roadmap for instant flow. And wrapping up this deep dive into the flow shortcut, Kotler leaves us with a powerful, actionable message. You have the ability to train your mind and body to access that elusive state of peak performance quickly and reliably. The key lies in understanding the interplay between neurochemistry, psychology, and environmental design, and then harnessing that knowledge through deliberate practice and consistent routines. To summarize the essential components of the flow shortcut: neurochemical mastery. Understand and leverage the brain's natural cocktail of dopamine, norepinephrine, and endorphins to prime yourself for flow. Rituals and routines. Develop and practice pre-performance routines that become the trigger for your flow state. Environmental engineering. Optimize your surroundings to reduce distractions and create conditions that naturally encourage deep focus. Balance challenge. Continuously push yourself with tasks that are challenging yet within reach, ensuring that you're always operating in that sweet spot between boredom and overwhelm. Mindfulness and feedback. Use techniques like meditation and neurofeedback to refine your approach, learning from every experience to improve your shortcut over time. Final thoughts. The shortcut to unleashed potential. The concept of the flow shortcut is both exhilarating and empowering. It tells you that peak performance isn't a distant dream reserved for a select few, but a state you can access with the right tools and mindset. It's a testament to human ingenuity, a reminder that the boundaries of our abilities are not fixed, but fluid, waiting to be redefined by those brave enough to push past conventional limits. As you integrate these principles into your daily life, whether in your professional pursuits, creative endeavors, or athletic challenges, you begin to experience a fundamental shift. The moments when you once felt stuck or distracted are gradually replaced by bursts of clarity, focus, and inspiration. You learn that with practice, the transition into flow can become almost instantaneous, a shortcut that transforms every challenge into a doorway to excellence. In the end, the flow shortcut isn't just a chapter in a book, it's a call to action. It's an invitation to rewire your brain, to craft a life where moments of peak performance aren't rare occurrences, but a regular, exhilarating part of your existence. It's about harnessing the full spectrum of your potential, tapping into that hidden reserve of energy and creativity that lies just beneath the surface, and using it to propel you toward a future where every day is an opportunity to achieve the extraordinary. Imagine a world where every external stimulus, from the roar of a cheering crowd to the whisper of the wind, synchronizes perfectly with your inner drive, catapulting you into a state of peak performance almost instantaneously. This isn't just a fantasy. It's the realm of outer flow, where the outside world becomes the ultimate trigger for unleashing your hidden potential. Chapter 6. Outer Flow. When we think about flow, much of the conversation centers on the internal experience, the neurochemical cocktails, the mind's ability to shut out distractions, and the art of balancing challenge with skill. In Chapter 6, Outer Flow, Steven Kotler flips the script. He challenges us to look beyond the confines of our inner world and examine how the external environment, social dynamics, and cultural forces can ignite and sustain that coveted state of flow. In this chapter, the focus shifts from the inside of flow to the outside, the cues, the signals, and the situational triggers that serve as catalysts for peak performance. The essence of outer flow. Tapping into the external catalyst. Outer flow is the idea that while the flow state is experienced internally, its ignition is often set off by external factors. These factors can be as diverse as the physical environment, the social context, or even the ambient energy of a moment in time. Kotler posits that our surroundings do not merely act as a backdrop for performance. They actively shape the quality and intensity of our flow state. Think about the rush you get when you step into a packed stadium, the palpable energy of thousands of voices merging into one collective heartbeat, or the transformative effect of a perfectly designed workspace that seems to whisper, "It's time to get to work." Outer flow is the process by which these external forces align with our internal drive, accelerating us into that zone where performance is nothing short of legendary. External stimuli. The spark that lights the fire. One of the most powerful triggers for outer flow is the environment itself. Consider extreme athletes, the deafening crash of ocean waves for big wave surfers, the rugged, unforgiving terrain for mountain bikers, or the pulsating energy of a live crowd at a skateboard contest. These external stimuli serve as signals that prime the body for action. They create a sense of urgency and excitement that acts as a catalyst for the neurochemical processes already at work inside the brain. In these moments, every sound, every visual cue, and even the ambient temperature plays a role in shutting out the noise of everyday thought and drawing the athlete into an all-encompassing state of focus. Kotler discusses how certain sensory inputs, whether it's the adrenaline-pumping sound of a crowd or the serene visual of a sunrise over a mountain ridge, can trigger the brain's reward pathways. These cues send a surge of dopamine and norepinephrine through the system, preparing the body to respond with lightning-fast reflexes and an almost preternatural level of awareness. Outer flow is not accidental. It is orchestrated by the world around us. It reminds us that the right external conditions can make the difference between a mediocre performance and a truly transformative experience. The social dimension, group energy, and collective flow beyond the physical environment. Outer flow also encompasses the social realm. There's an undeniable magic that happens when individuals come together, united by a shared goal or a collective passion. This is where the concept of collective flow comes into play, a phenomenon in which group dynamics create a synergistic environment that propels each member into their own state of flow. Consider a rock band on stage, where the energy of the audience and the interplay between the musicians create a feedback loop that elevates the performance to extraordinary heights. Each member of the band feeds off the other's intensity, and the resulting synergy amplifies the experience for everyone involved. Kotler illustrates this with examples from team sports and creative collaborations, showing how the presence of like-minded individuals, or even a competitive rival, can serve as an external stimulus that sharpens focus and elevates performance. In the American context, where the spirit of competition and the drive for excellence are woven into the cultural fabric, the social aspect of outer flow is particularly resonant. Whether it's a basketball team battling it out on the court or a startup team rallying around a groundbreaking idea, the collective energy can create an almost electric atmosphere. In these moments, individual performance is no longer isolated. It becomes part of a larger tapestry of human achievement, where every cheer, every nod, every shared glance contributes to a communal surge into the zone. Environmental engineering. Designing spaces that trigger outer flow. One of the most actionable insights from outer flow is the idea that our physical surroundings can be deliberately engineered to enhance our ability to enter flow. Kotler draws on research from environmental psychology to show that factors such as lighting, acoustics, spatial layout, and even color schemes have a profound impact on our mental state. The difference between a cluttered, chaotic room and a well-organized, aesthetically pleasing space isn't just visual, it's neurological. Imagine walking into a workspace designed with flow in mind. Expansive windows that flood the room with natural light, ergonomic furniture that supports comfort and posture, and subtle ambient sounds that mask distracting noises. Such an environment is not merely pleasing to the eye. It's scientifically tailored to reduce stress and encourage focus. Outer flow is harnessed by recognizing that our surroundings can either obstruct or facilitate our journey into peak performance. Companies in Silicon Valley and beyond are already capitalizing on this knowledge, designing offices that are more like creative sanctuaries than traditional workspaces. The goal is simple: create an environment that naturally cues your brain to switch into high gear, the role of nature. Reconnecting with the elements. While modern design often emphasizes sleek, high-tech environments, outer flow also highlights the timeless benefits of connecting with nature. There's a reason why many people report feeling instantly calmer and more focused after spending time outdoors. The natural world, with its organic rhythms and irregular patterns, has a restorative effect on the mind. The rustle of leaves, the sound of water flowing over rocks, the sight of a vast, open sky. These are not just sensory experiences. They're powerful triggers that can help realign your mental state. Kotler points out that exposure to natural environments has been linked to reductions in stress hormones, improved cognitive function, and enhanced creativity. Whether you're taking a walk in the park or working near a window that overlooks a garden, these natural cues can serve as gateways to outer flow. They remind us of a simpler, more connected way of being. A reminder that sometimes the most powerful triggers for peak performance come not from technology, but from the earth itself. Harnessing the power of ritual. External cues as flow triggers. One of the central tenets of outer flow is that you don't have to wait for the perfect moment to achieve peak performance. The right external cues can be deliberately cultivated to serve as shortcuts into the zone. Rituals and routines, often seen as personal habits, are just as much about the environment as they are about internal focus. For example, a professional athlete might have a pre-game ritual that involves specific stretches, a moment of silence, or even a glance at a cherished token that reminds them of past victories. These rituals are not merely psychological. They are embedded in the external world and serve as powerful triggers that signal to your brain that it's time to switch into flow. Consider the example of a creative professional who designs their workspace to include a particular object, a piece of art, a photograph, or even a favorite mug that consistently evokes a sense of calm and inspiration. Every time they see that object, their mind is primed to let go of distractions and focus on the task at hand. This is the essence of harnessing outer flow, learning to use external cues to create a reliable bridge into the state of peak performance. The challenge of distraction. Overcoming environmental noise in our modern world. One of the greatest challenges to accessing flow is the constant barrage of distractions. Smartphones buzz, emails ping, and social media relentlessly clamors for our attention. Outer flow, therefore, also involves learning how to manage, and sometimes manipulate, these external distractions. Kotler emphasizes that while some stimuli are essential for triggering flow, others can be the antithesis of it. The key is to curate your external environment so that it provides the right kind of stimulation, one that energizes and focuses you, while filtering out the noise that pulls you away from the moment. This might mean setting up designated flow zones in your home or office, using noise-canceling headphones, or even establishing strict boundaries around when and where you allow digital interruptions. In essence, mastering outer flow means taking control of your environment rather than letting it control you. Real-life narratives. Stories of outer flow and action. Kotler peppers this chapter with compelling stories of individuals who have transformed their performance by harnessing the power of outer flow. Picture a trail runner in the rugged canyons of the American Southwest, where the interplay of sun, rock, and wind creates a sensory landscape that propels him into a state of unstoppable momentum. Every step is in tune with the natural rhythms around him. Each gust of wind and ray of sunlight becomes a part of his performance, a reminder that the environment can be as much a partner as any training regimen. Another striking narrative is that of a tech startup team that transformed their drab office into a dynamic space of innovation. By rethinking the layout, incorporating natural elements, and fostering a culture of collective focus, they discovered that outer flow was not just a theoretical concept, but a practical tool for unleashing creativity and productivity. These stories serve as vivid reminders that when external conditions align with our internal goals, the results can be nothing short of transformative. Outer flow and the American spirit, grit, innovation, and the pursuit of excellence, there's a distinctly American flavor to the idea of outer flow, a recognition that the environment around us can be harnessed as a tool for overcoming obstacles and achieving greatness. From the rugged frontiers of the Wild West to the bustling innovation hubs of today's Silicon Valley, the narrative is the same. Our surroundings, when approached with creativity and determination, can propel us to heights we never thought possible. In this light, outer flow becomes more than a personal tool. It's a cultural ethos. It's the understanding that by intentionally designing our environments and harnessing the power of external cues, we can foster a society where peak performance is not an occasional burst of brilliance, but a constant, driving force in our daily lives. It's a call to all those who believe that the American dream isn't just about working harder, but about working smarter, about creating spaces that nurture the human spirit and unlock the full spectrum of our potential. Strategies for cultivating outer flow. Actionable Insights. Kotler doesn't leave you hanging with just theory. He provides a practical roadmap for integrating outer flow into your life. Here are some key strategies. Design your space intentionally. Take a critical look at your physical environment. How can you modify it to reduce distractions and enhance focus? Consider elements such as lighting, layout, and acoustics. Small changes, a rearranged desk, a window with a view, or even a well-chosen piece of art, can have a profound impact on your ability to enter flow. Curate sensory experiences. Identify the sensory inputs that help you focus and elevate your mood. This might be a particular genre of music, ambient nature sounds, or even a specific scent that triggers a positive emotional response. Integrate these elements into your daily routine as reliable cues for transitioning into a state of peak performance. Leverage social dynamics. Surround yourself with people who inspire you and share your passion for excellence. Whether it's joining a team, participating in a community of like-minded individuals, or simply spending time with supportive friends, the collective energy can serve as a powerful trigger for outer flow. Establish rituals with external cues. Develop pre-performance routines that incorporate external triggers. This could include a warm-up routine, a moment of meditation in a specially arranged space, or even a symbolic gesture that signals the start of focused work. Consistency in these rituals helps cement the association between the external cue and the flow state. Manage digital distractions. In today's hyper-connected world, managing your digital environment is critical. Set boundaries for when and where you allow digital interruptions. Use tools and apps that block distracting notifications during key periods of focus and cultivate habits that prioritize deep work over constant connectivity. Integrate nature into your routine. Whenever possible, connect with natural environments. Even a short walk outside or a few minutes of meditation by a window overlooking nature can recalibrate your mind and prepare you for a state of outer flow. Nature's inherent unpredictability and beauty are powerful stimuli that can jumpstart your focus and creativity. Reflect and iterate. Regularly evaluate the effectiveness of your environment. Keep a journal to note what external factors help you enter flow and which ones hinder your performance. Use these insights to continuously refine your surroundings and routines, creating a personalized blueprint for achieving outer flow consistently. The ripple effect. Outer flow's impact beyond the individual. The implications of mastering outer flow extend far beyond individual performance. When organizations, communities, and even entire cities begin to embrace the principles of designing flow-friendly environments, the results can be revolutionary. Imagine schools that harness natural light and flexible spaces to ignite students' creativity, offices that foster collaborative energy and deep focus, and public spaces designed to stimulate innovation and social connection. The ripple effect of such changes could transform how we work, learn, and live on a societal level. Kotler envisions a future where outer flow is not an isolated phenomenon, but a pervasive element of everyday life. As more people learn to optimize their external environment and harness its power, the cumulative effect could lead to breakthroughs in productivity, creativity, and overall well-being. It's a bold vision, a future where the external world is recognized as a powerful ally in the quest for human excellence. The scientific underpinnings. Neurobiology meets environmental psychology. One of the most compelling aspects of outer flow is how it bridges the gap between hard science and everyday experience. Research in environmental psychology has shown that our surroundings have a measurable impact on our cognitive and emotional states. Studies have found that well-designed spaces can lower cortisol levels, the stress hormone, enhance mood, and even improve memory and attention. These findings align perfectly with Kotler's narrative. When the external conditions are optimal, the brain is more readily able to transition into a state of flow. Neuroimaging studies further reveal that specific external cues can modulate activity in brain regions associated with attention and reward. For instance, exposure to natural light and green spaces has been linked to increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, while noise reduction and controlled soundscapes can lead to enhanced concentration. By understanding these biological mechanisms, we gain powerful insights into how outer flow works and how we can harness its benefits in our own lives. Overcoming barriers. Challenges in achieving outer flow. While the promise of outer flow is enormous, Kotler also acknowledges the challenges. Modern life is replete with distractions, urban noise, digital bombardment, and cluttered spaces that fragment our attention. Overcoming these barriers requires intentional effort and a willingness to experiment with your environment. It's about recognizing that while some external stimuli can be potent triggers for flow, others may serve only to derail you. The challenge, then, is twofold. First, to identify and cultivate those external elements that foster concentration and inspiration, and second, to systematically eliminate or mitigate those that contribute to distraction. This is not a one-time effort, but an ongoing process of refinement, adaptation, and learning. It demands a high level of self-awareness and a commitment to creating an environment that aligns with your personal and professional goals. A call to action. Embrace the external. Transform your inner world at its heart. Outer flow is a call to reimagine the way you interact with the world around you. It challenges the notion that peak performance is solely an internal battle and invites you to consider how the external environment can be your greatest ally. Whether you're an athlete, an artist, a business leader, or simply someone striving to make the most out of every day, the principles of outer flow offer a transformative blueprint for success. By actively curating your surroundings, designing spaces that inspire, managing digital interruptions, and harnessing the collective energy of supportive communities, you can create a fertile ground for peak performance. Outer flow is about taking control of the external factors that shape your internal state, turning every aspect of your environment into a trigger for excellence. Concluding reflections, the legacy of outer flow. As we wrap up this deep dive into Chapter 6, Outer flow, it becomes clear that the external world is not merely a passive setting for our lives. It is an active, dynamic force that can propel us to unprecedented heights. Kotler's exploration of outer flow is both a scientific inquiry and a practical guide, revealing that when we learn to harness the power of our environment, the barriers to peak performance begin to crumble. The legacy of outer flow is one of empowerment, a reminder that by designing our surroundings and leveraging the right external cues, we hold the power to transform not only our performance, but also our very experience of life. It's a call to step outside the confines of a distracting, cluttered world and to embrace an environment that nurtures the mind, fuels the body, and elevates the spirit. In the spirit of American ingenuity and the relentless pursuit of excellence, outer flow stands as a testament to the idea that our potential is not limited by our biology alone, but is also defined by the world we create around us. Imagine diving so deep into your own mind that the chatter of everyday life fades into silence, and you're left with nothing but a raw, unfiltered connection to your true self, a place where the boundaries between thought, action, and pure instinct vanish. Welcome to Inner Flow, where your inner world is the launchpad for every breakthrough, and mastering it means unlocking a hidden reservoir of power you never knew existed. Chapter 7. Inner Flow, When you strip away the external stimuli and the roaring crowds, what remains is the pure, unadulterated state of being that Kotler calls inner flow. In this chapter, the focus shifts from the external cues and environments that propel us into the zone to the internal mechanics that make that state possible. Inner flow is about the silent revolution that happens inside your mind, a transformation so profound that it not only elevates your performance, but redefines your sense of self. The essence of inner flow, the mind as a high-performance engine at its core. Inner flow is the internal process that allows you to tap into peak performance. It's the way your mind and body synchronize to create a state of total absorption and clarity. In this state, the noise of self-doubt, distraction, and overthinking evaporates, leaving behind a clear, focused drive. Kotler explains that while external triggers may help launch you into flow, it's your inner workings that sustain and deepen it. Think of it as tuning a high-performance engine. While the roar of an external crowd or the thrill of a wild environment might rev you up, it's the finely calibrated internal processes, your neurochemistry, mental discipline, and deep-seated belief in your own abilities that keep you running at optimum power. Inner flow is the secret sauce behind those moments when everything just clicks, when your mind operates with the precision of a laser and every decision feels instinctively right. The neurobiology of inner flow, beyond transient hypofrontality. Much of what we know about flow revolves around neurochemistry, and inner flow is no exception. In this chapter, Kotler delves into the intricate balance of brain activity that characterizes the state. One key phenomenon is transient hypofrontality, the temporary downregulation of the prefrontal cortex. This process quiets the inner critic, the analytical part of your brain that can bog you down with self-doubt and overthinking. During inner flow, this quieting isn't merely about reducing noise. It's about creating space for intuitive action. When your prefrontal cortex takes a back seat, your brain's reward centers and motor systems can communicate without interference. The result is an almost automatic, instinctual performance where every movement and decision feels effortless. It's as if your mind is free to operate on a different plane, one where past limitations and future anxieties no longer have a grip on you. The dissolution of the ego, transcending the self. One of the most profound aspects of inner flow is the dissolution of the ego. In our everyday lives, the ego acts as a constant, sometimes burdensome, reminder of our limitations, fears, and insecurities. But in the heart of inner flow, that sense of self recedes. You become less a self-aware I and more a conduit through which actions and thoughts flow seamlessly. This temporary loss of self-consciousness is what many extreme performers describe as a near-spiritual experience. When you're fully immersed in an activity, you stop worrying about the outcome, the judgment of others, or even your own sense of identity. Instead, you're present, fully and completely. This dissolution isn't about losing who you are. It's about accessing a deeper, more authentic version of yourself that exists beneath the surface of everyday concerns. Mental discipline and the cultivation of inner flow. Achieving inner flow isn't a matter of chance. It's the result of deliberate practice and mental discipline. Kotler highlights that many elite performers, from world-class athletes to celebrated artists, have honed their ability to enter inner flow through rigorous mental training. Techniques such as mindfulness meditation, visualization, and focused breathing exercises aren't just trendy practices. They're the building blocks of a high-performance mind. Imagine an Olympic gymnast who, before stepping onto the vault, spends a few moments in quiet meditation. In those precious seconds, she clears her mind, focuses her energy, and sets aside the weight of expectation. That mental reset isn't wasted time. It's the cornerstone of her ability to perform under pressure. Inner flow is cultivated by those who learn to control their internal state, who master the art of tuning out distractions and tapping into their reservoir of calm, centered energy. The role of emotion. Harnessing the power of passion and purpose. Inner flow isn't solely a cognitive phenomenon. It's deeply intertwined with emotion. Passion, drive, and a sense of purpose are the fuels that ignite inner flow. Kotler explains that when you're emotionally invested in what you're doing, the barriers between thought and action crumble. The resulting surge of energy and focus is not just intellectual, it's visceral. Consider the stories of athletes who, despite physical injuries or overwhelming odds, find an almost transcendent inner strength that propels them forward. It's not that they ignore pain or fear. Instead, they harness those emotions, channeling them into a concentrated force that pushes them past their limits. Inner flow is the alchemy that turns raw emotion into peak performance. It's where heart meets mind, and where your deepest desires transform into the energy that fuels your actions. The psychological landscape. Overcoming inner barriers. While the benefits of inner flow are vast, achieving it often requires confronting and overcoming inner barriers. Self-doubt, fear of failure, and the constant chatter of negative thoughts can all obstruct your path to peak performance. Kotler emphasizes that developing inner flow is as much about psychological resilience as it is about skill or talent. Many of the stories in this chapter revolve around individuals who have battled their own inner demons, those moments when the mind tries to hold you back. Yet, through persistence and mental training, they learn to silence that inner critic. They develop strategies to reframe negative thoughts, to replace self-doubt with self-trust, and to transform fear into a driving force. Inner flow is, in many ways, a victory of the spirit, a testament to the power of the human mind to overcome its own limitations and emerge stronger, more focused, and more capable. Techniques for cultivating inner flow. A toolkit for transformation. Kotler doesn't leave us without practical strategies. Throughout the chapter, he outlines a suite of techniques designed to help you cultivate inner flow. These methods, backed by both scientific research and real-world success stories, provide a roadmap for transforming your mental state. Mindfulness meditation. Engage in regular mindfulness practices to train your brain to remain present. Even a few minutes a day can help reduce the background noise of intrusive thoughts and prepare your mind for peak performance. Visualization. Develop a clear, vivid mental picture of your goal or the task at hand. Visualization primes your brain by creating a mental blueprint of success, making it easier to access flow when the moment arrives. Breathing techniques. Practice deep, controlled breathing to regulate your nervous system. Techniques such as diaphragmatic breathing or box breathing can help lower stress levels and pave the way for a calm, focused state. Affirmations and positive self-talk. Replace negative, self-limiting beliefs with empowering affirmations. Cultivating a mindset of possibility and self-trust is crucial for silencing the inner critic. Routine and ritual. Create a pre-performance ritual that signals to your brain that it's time to enter inner flow. This might involve a specific sequence of actions, a favorite piece of music, or even a particular setting that you associate with high performance. Reflection and journaling. Regularly reflect on your experiences and document what triggers your inner flow. Over time, this self-awareness will allow you to fine-tune your approach and eliminate habits or thoughts that hold you back. The interplay of inner and outer flow. A symbiotic relationship. Although this chapter focuses on inner flow, it's important to recognize that the inner and outer dimensions of flow are deeply interconnected. The external environment, social interactions, and sensory cues all serve to trigger the inner state of flow. In turn, once you've cultivated a robust inner flow, you're better equipped to leverage external triggers effectively. For example, a surfer who has mastered inner flow can use the raw energy of an enormous wave to propel himself into a state of complete focus and synchronicity. His internal calm and clarity enable him to react instinctively to the ever-changing conditions of the ocean. Similarly, a musician who has honed inner flow can translate the external energy of a live audience into a transcendent performance where every note is imbued with emotional power. The synergy between your inner world and the external environment is what ultimately defines your ability to perform at the highest level. Inner flow and the American spirit. Grit, resilience, and reinvention. There's an unmistakably American quality to the pursuit of inner flow. In a culture that celebrates self-made heroes, the idea of conquering one's inner demons resonates deeply. The stories of athletes, entrepreneurs, and creative visionaries who have tapped into their inner reserves of strength and transformed their lives are part of the national narrative. Inner flow embodies the American ideals of grit, resilience, and reinvention, a belief that no matter how many obstacles you face, you can always find a way to rise above them. This chapter is a call to embrace that spirit. It challenges you to look inward, to confront your fears and doubts head-on, and to harness the power of your inner world to drive you forward. It's a reminder that the greatest battles are often fought not on the field or stage, but within the confines of your own mind. And it's in those internal battles that the seeds of true greatness are sown. The transformative power of inner flow. Stories of personal triumph throughout the chapter, Kotler shares vivid, transformative stories of individuals who have learned to master their inner world. One narrative details the journey of a professional skier who, after suffering a career-threatening injury, discovered that the key to recovery was not just physical rehabilitation, but a complete mental reset. Through meditation, visualization, and a relentless commitment to overcoming his inner barriers, he not only returned to the sport, but redefined his limits, pushing into realms that once seemed unimaginable. Another story focuses on a tech entrepreneur who, overwhelmed by the pressures of innovation and competition, found that the breakthrough he desperately needed came from a quiet moment of introspection. By turning inward and cultivating inner flow, he unlocked a creative surge that revolutionized his approach to problem-solving and ultimately transformed his company's trajectory. These stories underscore a powerful truth. The ability to harness inner flow is not reserved for the naturally gifted. It's a skill that can be developed, refined, and used to propel you toward a future of endless possibility. Overcoming inner resistance. Strategies for conquering self-doubt. No discussion of inner flow would be complete without addressing the obstacles that often stand in the way. Inner resistance, manifested as self-doubt, anxiety, and fear, can be the most formidable barrier to achieving your full potential. Kotler explores how these negative forces, if left unchecked, can derail even the most talented individuals. But he also offers hope. By recognizing and confronting these inner adversaries, you can learn to overcome them. Techniques such as cognitive reframing, where you challenge and reframe negative thoughts, and mindfulness practices that help you observe your inner dialogue without judgment, are essential tools. Kotler emphasizes that the journey toward mastering inner flow is not linear. It's fraught with setbacks and moments of vulnerability. Yet each time you push past your inner resistance, you build mental resilience, making it easier to access that state of flow in the future. The long-term benefits. How inner flow enhances every aspect of life, while the immediate benefits of inner flow and performance are dramatic: better focus, enhanced creativity, and faster reaction times. The long-term impact is equally profound. Cultivating inner flow leads to a more fulfilling, resilient, and balanced life. When you learn to quiet the inner critic and tap into your core potential, you create a foundation of self-trust that permeates every area of your existence. Imagine approaching challenges at work, in relationships, or in personal endeavors with a calm, focused mind that is impervious to the usual stresses of daily life. That's the promise of inner flow, a state of being where you're not only performing at your best, but living with a sense of purpose and clarity that transforms everyday experiences into opportunities for growth and joy. Practical exercises for cultivating inner flow. Kotler's deep dive into inner flow isn't purely theoretical. It's also a practical guide. Here are some actionable exercises and practices drawn from the chapter that you can start using today. Daily mindfulness meditation. Dedicate 10 to 15 minutes each day to sitting in silence, focusing on your breath, and simply observing your thoughts without judgment. Over time, this practice will help quiet the mental chatter and prepare your mind for deeper states of flow. Visualization sessions. Spend a few minutes each morning visualizing your goals and the actions required to achieve them. Create a mental movie where you see yourself performing flawlessly. This primes your brain to follow through when the moment arrives. Gratitude journaling. Each day, write down at least 3 things you're grateful for. This exercise shifts your mindset toward positivity, reducing the influence of self-doubt and creating a mental environment conducive to inner flow. Focused breathing techniques. Practice deep, controlled breathing exercises, such as the 4-7-8 method or box breathing, to help regulate your nervous system and anchor your attention in the present moment. Pre-performance rituals. Develop a consistent routine before engaging in any high-performance activity. Whether it's a physical warm-up combined with a few moments of quiet reflection or a specific sequence of actions that signal it's time to focus, make these rituals a non-negotiable part of your routine. Cognitive restructuring. When negative thoughts arise, challenge them with evidence of your past successes. Replace "I can't do this" with "I've overcome challenges before, and I can do it again." This mental shift is critical for dismantling inner resistance, integrating inner flow into daily life. Beyond the arena, while extreme sports provide the most vivid examples of inner flow, the principles apply universally. Whether you're an artist, an executive, or a student, the ability to access your inner state of peak performance can transform your daily life. By cultivating inner flow, you're not just preparing for moments of high-stakes performance. You're enhancing your capacity for creativity, decision-making, and emotional resilience in every aspect of life. Imagine a day where, from the moment you wake up until you go to bed, you're operating with a clear, focused mind, able to tackle complex problems at work, connect deeply with loved ones, and pursue your passions with unbridled energy. That's the promise of inner flow. It's not an isolated phenomenon, but a holistic approach to living that integrates the best of your mental and emotional capacities. The legacy of inner flow, a path to lasting transformation. Kotler's exploration of inner flow is ultimately a call to unlock the deeper potentials within yourself. It's about recognizing that the power to perform at extraordinary levels lies not in external circumstances alone, but in the mastery of your inner world. By developing the skills to enter and sustain inner flow, you not only enhance your performance, but also embark on a journey of self-discovery and lasting transformation in a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming. The ability to retreat inward and harness your inner resources is both a refuge and a source of strength. Inner flow offers a way to transcend the limitations imposed by fear, doubt, and distraction, opening up a realm of possibility where you are the master of your destiny. Concluding reflections. The power within. In closing, Chapter 7, Inner Flow, serves as both an exploration and an invitation. A deep dive into the internal mechanisms that drive peak performance and the realization that true greatness begins from within. It's a reminder that while external factors can help light the spark, it is your inner world that determines how brightly that spark can burn. By mastering inner flow, you learn to silence the noise of the world and connect with a profound sense of purpose and clarity. You become more resilient, more creative, and more in tune with your true potential. Whether you're facing the pressure of a high-stakes competition, tackling a challenging project at work, or simply seeking a deeper sense of fulfillment in your daily life, the principles of inner flow offer a roadmap for success. Take a moment to look inward, quiet the chatter, embrace the silence, and allow yourself to connect with the wellspring of energy and creativity that lies deep within you. The journey to mastering inner flow is not an easy one, but it is a journey that promises to transform every facet of your life, unlocking the extraordinary potential that is waiting to be unleashed.